Did I make a turkey crown? Yes. Did I bedazzle that turkey crown? Also yes. I think I made my crown too high, but that's okay. You get the idea.
The Black Friday frenzy, an estimated 116 million shoppers hitting the stores.
Bedlam in the aisles of some of the nation's biggest retailers, shoppers fighting over garments at this Victoria's Secret in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Deep discounts triggering a free-for-all.
Tonight, those doorbuster deals at times creating chaos.
In a Georgia Walmart, 2 women fighting over pots and pans, one refusing to let go.
In Myrtle Beach, this frenzy over TVs, again one of the deeply discounted big-ticket items attracting buyers.
The euphoria over Black Friday shopping turning deadly in Alabama after a fight turned into a shooting at this mall.
The term Black Friday conjures up images of crowded stores, aggressive sales, and shoppers with carts brimming with discounted goods. It's become synonymous with a retail bonanza that marks the beginning of the Christmas shopping season. But has it always been a day of commercial chaos? I'm gonna get into the origins of this frenzied shopping day, explore some of the more outrageous moments, and speculate on its trajectory in a world where online shopping is overshadowing the traditional rush to brick and mortar stores. The term Black Friday wasn't always about slashed prices and sprinting shoppers, but was a reference to a severe financial crisis. The U.S. gold market collapse on September 24th, 1869. This economic calamity was the result of a scheme by Jay Gould and Jim Fisk, 2 infamous Wall Street financiers who conspired to hoard the nation's gold reserves. Their plan was to increase the market value and sell it at staggering profits, very Reddit GameStop coded. Their plot came to a head on that fateful Friday in September, leading to a market crash that left investors from tycoons to agricultural workers in ruins. Back in 1950s Philadelphia, it was used by weary police to describe the chaos that ensued when hordes of suburban shoppers and tourists flooded the city in advance of the Army-Navy football game held on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Not only were Philly cops not able to take the day off, but they had to work extra long shifts dealing with the additional crowds and traffic. Shoplifters took advantage of the chaos in stores and made off with merchandise, adding to the law enforcement headache. By 1961, Black Friday had caught on in Philadelphia, to the extent that the city's merchants and boosters tried unsuccessfully to change it to Big Friday in order to remove the negative connotations. The term Big Friday obviously didn't spread to the rest of the country. The more widely known connection of Black Friday to Thanksgiving shopping is a modern narrative that involves retailers turning their annual financial status from loss to profit. The idea being after a year in the red, which reflected a financial loss, stores would transition into the black, signifying profit due to the influx of consumers spending heavily the day after Thanksgiving. While it is accurate that historical accounting practices denoted losses with red ink and profits with black ink, this explanation for Black Friday's origin is more of a retailer-made myth, or rather a retailer-endorsed myth, rather than a factual account of its history. As for which company started Black Friday, it's not so much who, but what. It was the collective push of retailers turning it into an unofficial holiday. It wasn't long before retailers nationwide began harnessing the potential of this day, realizing that opening their doors with blockbuster deals could lure hordes of consumers with their wallets open wider than their post-Thanksgiving bellies. Black Friday in the 1970s was a period of significant transformation for the retail holiday. During this time, it began to gain traction as a national phenomenon, though it was still quite different from the event we know today. In the 1970s, the American economy was experiencing various challenges, including inflation and an oil crisis. Despite these economic hurdles, Black Friday was becoming an anticipated sales event. Retailers facing the strain of economic conditions were looking for ways to improve their profit margins and saw the day after Thanksgiving as an optimal time to attract shoppers. The term Black Friday wasn't widely used in marketing materials during the 70s as it is today. Advertising for post-Thanksgiving sales in newspapers and on television started to become more common, with stores promoting significant discounts on a wide array of merchandise.
Hi, okay, I know this sounds like shit, but on the topic of 70s advertising, I had to share these. Like, that is literally Santa Claus smoking a cigarette. I just, wow. Welcome to the 1970s, folks.
Although the 1970s saw an increase in shoppers taking advantage of the post-Thanksgiving deals, the scenes of chaos and overcrowding that are often associated with Black Friday were less pronounced. There were reports of crowded stores and early bird specials, but the level of intensity was lower compared to subsequent decades. Shoppers were drawn to the sales, but the day hadn't yet reached the fever pitch of consumer frenzy that would characterize it in the 80s and beyond.
And please believe that the 1980s shoppers went absolutely buckwild. And why, you may ask? Well, this was the decade of the mall.
This not only attracted tons of diverse shoppers, but it also meant more competition for the stores. And those stores brought out the big guns with the most spectacular marketing to attract holiday shoppers, which led to more aggressive marketing strategies and deeper discounts, with Black Friday becoming the focal point for these efforts. And aggressive marketing and aggressive sales led to a pretty aggressive crowd of shoppers. As Black Friday rose in popularity as a major shopping event, the reports of chaotic and sometimes outrageous incidents rose as well. While detailed records of specific events are not always available, the decade was marked by a noticeable intensification in the competitive shopping atmosphere. Stores began to open earlier than usual, with some starting their sales at midnight. This shift to earlier hours often took shoppers, and sometimes employees, by surprise, contributing to a frenzied atmosphere. It became more common to see people camping outside of stores overnight to be the first in line for the best deals. This commitment to securing sale items often led to confrontation among those in line. Then, when the store finally opened, doors were broken down by shoppers pushing their way in to get the very best deal on a Nintendo for their snot-nosed kids. The rush to get the best deals sometimes resulted in injuries as people were trampled or pushed in the surge. And with growing hype around doorbusters and limited stock on hot items such as the Nintendo or Cabbage Patch Kids, brawls went down between shoppers. Law enforcement was increasingly called to manage crowds, direct traffic, and intervene in disputes.
Kind of random, but I do think that it is relevant to some degree. The 1980s also introduced technology that would later shape Black Friday, specifically the widespread adoption of credit cards, which made it much easier for customers to make bigger purchases, which probably contributed to the increased sales volumes. Furthermore, advancements in computers and, of course, regular computing technology made retailers have a better inventory system, which also helped their bottom line.
The 1980s set the stage for many of the Black Friday phenomena we are familiar with today. Though at the same time, these events were beginning to escalate to the levels of intensity that would become commonplace in later decades. The combination of aggressive advertising, limited time offers, and the allure of steep discounts contributed to an environment where shoppers were willing to go to great lengths for a deal. Black Friday in the big, beautiful 90s continued to expand in cultural significance, solidifying its reputation as the busiest shopping day of the year in the United States. This era saw further entrenchment of consumerism, technological advancements, and a more media-savvy public that shaped the Black Friday experience. The 90s economy was strong, and there was low unemployment in the US, partly due to the tech boom and the proliferation of the internet. The rise in economic prosperity led to an increased consumer spending, and retailers saw an opportunity to draw in shoppers with even bigger Black Friday sales. And going back to that little thing called the internet, the 1990s introduced the beginnings of online shopping, though it was still in its infancy compared to what it would later become. Retailers started to use the internet to advertise Black Friday deals, and consumers began to research products and compare prices online before heading to the stores.
Retailers, being retailers, continued to refine their Black Friday marketing strategies. They began opening their doors earlier than ever before, with some stores starting to open at midnight. Also, advertising campaigns became very aggressive, with leaked ads becoming a part of the pre-Black Friday excitement.
Media coverage of Black Friday during the 90s also intensified. News outlets featured reports on the massive crowds, the campouts in front of the stores, and occasionally the unfortunate incidents of violence over hot ticket items.
This coverage contributed to the day's notoriety and drew more shoppers into the frenzy. They wanted to be a part of the car wreck, and you know what? I get it. My older sister and I would go to Dunk's and get white chocolate cocoa. Do you remember those? Am I aging myself? They were so delicious, so good. Ugh. Can we bring that back? Can we please put these weird-ass munchkin drinks on a back burner and bring back the greats?
My fans is called Munchkins.
I don't know if it's enough to be the only person with fans literally named after the donut itself.
I thought that's why you called me here.
Mrs. Spice, you have to do more.
Dragging Ben Affleck into a Munchkin Dunkin' smoothie commercial, whatever. Anyway, me and my older sister, we would get our Cocos and we would go to Walmart just to people watch. We would sit in the car and we would just watch the line. We would sit in the car and just watch the crazies in line, and then once the doors opened, we made our way in after the madness. And we didn't give a shit about a sale. Like, I can't remember a time where we actually genuinely saw something that we were like, oh, I have to get it on Black Friday. The only thing I remember buying were those gummy headphones that they sold at the checkout, the $5 headphones. The cashier was very confused.
The 90s also saw some of the most memorable holiday season marketing efforts from big names like Walmart, Best Buy, and Toys R Us. These stores turned Black Friday into an event with their splashy ads and must-have items like Beanie Babies, Tickle Me Elmo, and gaming consoles, which often sold out quickly and became the stuff of Black Friday legend. As the decade progressed, Black Friday began to extend beyond the day itself. Some retailers started their sales on Thanksgiving Day, and the concept of a Black Friday weekend, culminating in Cyber Monday, began to take shape.
And here is where we get to the peak of Black Friday buffoonery, the new millennium. To give you an idea of the happenings at this time, in case you don't already know, which I think we do, Black Friday spread across the world at this time, and the madness of the 90s did spill into the early 2000s. However, in 2008, America had this little bitty, cutesy, kawaii, adorable little recession.
Please, sir, I want some more.
Which meant consumers had wallets snapping shut like clamshells. And for those who had money to spend, the rise of the internet meant that the same deals could be snagged from the serene comfort of one's home. This decade was marked by a substantial shift in consumer habits because of the interwebs, and the transition from purely in-store shopping frenzies to online deal hunting had begun. We were and are in the age of e-commerce, with online retailers like Amazon becoming significant players in the Black Friday landscape. This shift led to what I mentioned earlier, the creation and rise of Cyber Monday, a day dedicated to online shopping deals, which began in 2005.
I want to circle back to the consumers that were financially struggling at this time, because yes, what I said was true. Money at this time was a real struggle for so many people. I know that 2008 was the year that my dad stopped taking me to Marshall's and dragged my ass to Savers. If you know, you know. Although, as I get older, I appreciate Savers more. I got that wee little Christmas tree back there at Savers for $2.99. Back to what I was saying. Oddly, and I remember watching the madness in real time, despite the economic downturn, Black Friday sales remained robust. And like, how does that happen? Well, again, retailers being retailers use this time of financial struggle as a marketing tactic and slashed prices even more to entice more budget conscious shoppers. And you may be thinking to yourself, if you're adorable and lovely and naive, that's just businesses being nice and catering to poor folk. No, learn right here, right now, that is never any business's intention. I don't care what they tell you. If they are for profit, they are for profit. They are not for feeling. So they would entice these shoppers to come in for the sales because obviously you're poor, but you want to buy your kids a Christmas gift. So goal number one is to get those butts in the store, which is tricky to maneuver. And once those butts are in the store, like, okay, how many times do you go into Walmart or Target for AAA batteries and leave with a candle, cat food, and a pack of gum? I do not think that's just me, but maybe you're stronger than I am.
You'd think that the more bodies in store, even if they are driven by a sale or sales that are so crazy, they would seemingly negatively affect the store's profits. The reality is most shoppers will let that credit card fly fast and loose once they are presented with even more opportunities to save, I say that in quotations, once in store. Social media was also booming at this time, which had a significant impact and changed how deals were shared and promoted. Consumers used these platforms to share experiences, tips, and real-time updates on inventory levels and lines at stores. Retailers also capitalized on this trend using social media for targeted advertising and to create buzz around doorbuster deals. The 2000s saw a significant focus on consumer electronics as the flagship items for Black Friday sales. Flat-screen TVs, laptops, smartphones, and gaming consoles were among the hottest products, with prices dropping to all-time lows fueling the shopping frenzy. As the stakes rose, so did the reports of violence and accidents during Black Friday events, leading to a public backlash and a call for more responsible shopping practices. The intense competition among shoppers occasionally led to injuries and a few tragic incidents which were widely reported in the media. Some chaotic scenes have unfolded due to promotional events that didn't go as planned. Take, for instance, the 2006 debacle in a Southern California mall, with the idea to release 500 gift certificates from above into a throng of 2,000 eager shoppers led to a frenzied stampede. The calamity left 10 individuals, among them an elderly lady, with injuries. In 2009, there was an occurrence at a Tennessee Toys R Us where a woman was forcefully wedged against a solid wall amidst the shopping frenzy, resulting in a serious head injury. At a Kmart in Alabama, a brawl over a large toy car landed one man in the hospital with a shattered hip.
I found data from 2006 to 2019 that shared 11 people have died and well over 100 have been injured in Black Friday related incidents. This works out to an average of about 1 death and 9 injuries per year, but over time, these accidents don't seem to have occurred with any degree of consistency. The data also shares that there was a massive spike in 2011 of these, dangerous incidents that can mostly be attributed to 2 pepper spray incidents in Walmart. In North Carolina, a police officer rained his pepper spray down on an unruly crowd, which in turn injured 20 people. And in California, a woman sprayed her fellow shoppers for a Bratz doll. Imagine that for a Bratz doll in 2011? One of the witnesses referred to this incident with the Bratz doll as customer versus customer shopping rage. And this is where my rabbit hole within a rabbit hole began. Hearing all that about North Carolina, I wanted to know which states had the most unruly Black Fridays. I didn't know if there would be data or any information, or if I would have to do my own research and come up with my own results, but I did find a reputable source that gave me a top 10. Starting off, number 10 is Illinois, and let me just start by saying this. I know that injuries and death are not funny. It's horrific. So I hope you don't look at me like a heartless monster if I look at some of these incidents through a comical lens. I feel like if you get it, you get it. And if you don't, I completely understand why you may find it offensive if I don't approach certain incidents with a level of sensitivity that you deem appropriate. That is 100% valid. I'm going to talk about these incidents in the most lighthearted way I can, so it's not a downer of a video. I wanted this to be a bit more fun, but again, I'm kind of going in circles. I understand if that could be considered offensive to you. As I said, number 10 is Illinois, and one of the worst Black Friday incidents occurred in, I believe it's pronounced Moline, Illinois, in 2012. On the night of Thanksgiving, you know what? Actually, I have another sidebar. If you leave your family's dinner table, and that's if you're celebrating at your family's dinner table, if you leave that to go be a part of this Black Friday mess, I cannot relate. I don't care what deal is happening at Best Buy. I'm not letting creamed onions and green bean casserole out of my sight. Doesn't even matter. I grew up in a state where it is illegal to be open on Thanksgiving. I think that's the law. So companies would open at 12:01 on Friday, which was always a really fun shift to work. Getting back on track again, I am slowly but surely climbing my way out of these rabbit holes. I am continuing to dig for myself, rabbit holes within rabbit holes within rabbit holes within rabbit holes. Back to Illinois, crowds piled into the Walmart to get the best deal on phones at the time. And overall, there were some minor scuffles, which alone I think is just ridiculous. But the atmosphere intensified when one particular shopper had a bit of an outburst and escalated the situation. Amidst all this commotion, someone fainted. Law enforcement actually had to be brought in to prevent any further brawling over iPhones. Number 9 is Arizona. And Arizona, what's going on? It's getting a little weird and wild out there. And if that's your vibe, that's your vibe. Live your truth. But slowly, Arizona is becoming Florida Junior. And please know, I'm well aware that I am coming from a place of complete hypocrisy. I lived in Florida for 5 years, and I'm also a New Englander, born and raised, so obviously I have had the most annoying of residencies in my life. But I really wasn't expecting Arizona on this list at all, like not even a thought in my mind. So what happened? According to this data, crime went up, and I guess there's a pattern of when crime goes up, Black Friday incidents go up. I guess that makes sense. I can see how increased crime and frenzied shoppers is not an ideal combination. Number 8 is Missouri, and this one I was not shocked at all by. If you know Missourians, they are a different breed. I love Missourians. They are a spectacle, and I say that coming from a place of admiration and not maliciousness. There are a lot of options when you're looking at the Missouri Black Friday madness. One incident specifically that occurred that is incredibly sad happened in 2017. A shootout began in the Columbia Mall in Columbia, Missouri, leaving a 19-year-old with life-threatening injuries. Number 7 is another shocker for me that it's up so high and not one of the absolute worst, if not the worst. California? I definitely thought California would be number 1. In 2020, a shootout occurred in Northern California, which resulted in the death of 2 teens. Another story from 2011 again tells a story of a woman who whipped out her pepper spray, clearly a Black Friday staple, and she started spraying the shit out of people so she could get her hands on an Xbox. Another incident in 2012, 3 men decided to swap their shopping bags for swings. The scene escalated quickly and the Black Friday brawlers were all arrested.
Number 6, Nevada. In 2016, a fight turned deadly when shoppers fought over not a camera or an Xbox. No. A parking spot. Yes, you heard that correctly, a parking spot. In 2013, in Las Vegas, a customer had just bought a big screen TV and walked out of Target with it when a thief shot him in the leg to take the TV. The injuries were not life-threatening, but there were no arrests made either.
And we have made it to the top 5, number 5 being Alabama. Apparently, the South is home to some of the worst Black Friday incidents, which honestly, like I said, I thought California or New York would be at the top of these lists. But no, the Southern folk are very serious about their savings. In 2018, yet another shootout occurred at the River Chase Galleria in Hoover that a 12-year-old was in the crossfire of. Thankfully, the 12-year-old survived, but the 2 shooters did pass away. A year prior to that, a brawl broke out in the very same shopping center. Reports were mixed, some saying it was just like a silly fight, others say that there were bullets flying. Probably not the best place to be on Black Friday going forward. Number 4 is North Carolina, which I referenced earlier. The whole pepper spray raining situation that made me fall down this rabbit hole to begin with. Number 3 is West Virginia. Now, I know West Virginia has a lot of problems on a lot of fronts, but this story is insane. In 2011, while at Target, customers were being primal consumer demons. One of the would-be customers was 61-year-old Walter Vance, who collapsed due to a heart attack. And what would you do if you witnessed that? Check on the man, call for an ambulance, ask for help, see if there's anyone on site that can give immediate medical attention, anything to help, or to show some sort of concern. The human thing to do. No, these monsters completely ignored Walter and even stepped over his body while they continued to shop. Walter Vance was eventually rushed to the hospital, but by then it was far too late and he was pronounced dead. This was not the only incident to occur like this. No. This one has a whole additional layer of grotesque. In 2008, at a New York Walmart, an employee was overrun by a crowd of 2,000 shoppers. Think of 2,000 people. Think of 200 people right now. This employee was trampled by them. There was no care for this man that they felt under their feet. You are not stepping on linoleum. You are stepping on a human body. You can feel that. And the grotesque layer that I was referring to, let me just read the quote. When they, the Walmart staff, were saying they, the shoppers, had to leave, that an employee got killed, people were yelling, I have been in line since yesterday morning, and they continued to shop. When I tell you I don't ever again want to go to a Black Friday fucking anything, I am too grown. I can't handle being stepped on by 2 people, let alone 2,000. My body cracks like a glow stick at any given moment. I can't make it out in these trenches with these heathens. No, there's not a sale in the world that I would put my life on the line for. No.
Number 2, I know I've said I'm shocked so many times, but Tennessee, really? The land of Dollywood, the place where dreams of a Smoky Mountain Christmas come true? And what's even weirder is apparently it's not number 2 because of anything involving fighting over products. It has been just straight up violence and shootouts, just because. Well, I'm sure there was a reason that these people had, but that reason did not involve fighting over the best deal.
And finally, the most dangerous state to do your Black Friday shopping in is Arkansas. Who would have thunk Arkansas was the scariest place to be on Black Friday? I didn't thunk it. I am going to share more of a lighthearted story from Arkansas, just to round this up in a nice kind of way so I don't end up losing my breath, ranting and yelling into a microphone out of anger. There was a sale on waffle irons at Wally World, which a study actually found that Walmart had, quote, a disproportionate number of incidents, more than all other locations combined. That is crazy, but I assume it's because Walmart is like the largest retailer in the United States, so that's sort of, what comes with it. So at this Wally World in Little Rock, Arkansas, the crowd went banana split Sunday with extra nuts for these $2 waffle irons. They were fighting and throwing things and just generally being unhinged over, yet again, I'll say it, $2 waffle irons. It was insane, but thankfully no one was injured. It just seemed to be really embarrassing for these people because it's not embarrassing enough that you probably have to see these same people you were brawling with over a $2 waffle iron at that same Walmart, on any given day, but also this made nationwide news, so extremely embarrassing. And on the opposite end, the safest, most pleasant places to shop on Black Friday, going backwards from 5, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Oregon, and Vermont. Wait, why wasn't Florida? I was just talking about Arizona being Florida Junior. Why wasn't Florida anywhere on that wild list? Florida not even being a part of a conversation about the top craziest anything is highly suspect. Overall, Black Friday was getting more violent and more intense because the stakes were higher and people don't know how to act. And to remind you where we're at on this Black Friday evolution timeline, we're at the tail end of the 2000s going into the 2010s. As you may have guessed after hearing about all of those crazy incidents and the years they occurred in, if the 2000s were bad, then the 2010s were completely disastrous.
The 2010s saw Black Friday evolve and amplify in multiple ways, reflecting changing consumer behaviors, technological advancements, and the ever-growing emphasis on consumerism in the holiday season. Retailers began to compete fiercely for shoppers' dollars by launching Black Friday deals well before the actual day. It became common to see Black Friday sales advertised from the beginning of November. This practice culminated in stores opening on Thanksgiving Day itself, and criticism from those who believed it undermined the holiday's focus on family. The trend of online shopping continued to grow. E-commerce giants like Amazon expanded Black Friday into a week-long event, including, of course, Cyber Monday, which further incentivized online shopping.
The transition helped alleviate some of the in-store chaos, but created a new competitive space where retailers had to optimize their websites to control high traffic and to offer online exclusive deals. The e-commerce of it all had its pros and cons. The pro being less peopling, and the cons being all the emails and the ads that creep up on every YouTube video. Customers were inundated with promotional ads and emails and early bird specials. This saturation led to a phenomenon known as deal fatigue, where the excitement of finding a bargain is diminished due to the sheer amount of available discounts.
Despite most people shopping online, the 2010s still had incidents of violence and accidents associated with Black Friday crowds. These incidents led to a public backlash against the shopping holiday, with calls for more responsible marketing and crowd management practices. Some retailers responded by improving in-store safety measures or choosing not to open on Thanksgiving Day. Towards the end of the decade, there was a noticeable shift in consumer values. A segment of shoppers began to prioritize experiences over possessions, and there was a growing awareness of the environmental and social impact of consumerism. This led to Buy Nothing Day and Green Friday as counters to Black Friday's consumerism. I have never heard of either of those days. I don't know what that says about me, but that is just what it is.
I know that we are currently discussing the 10s, but those 2010s ended with a 2019, and we all know how that went, and that 2019 spilled into our wonderful roaring 20s. Ain't it roaring, folks? As one decade ended and the new one began, the big bad rolled in. If you have been watching YouTube videos long enough, you know that, calling it by what it's called in any capacity is like no bueno for YouTube. So the big bad is what we'll call it. And as that big bad began, Black Friday, along with everything else, faced an unprecedented challenge. Lockdowns and social distancing measures forced retailers to rethink their strategies, which accelerated that already existing trend of online shopping, and in turn led to a significant decline in in-store traffic.
In 2020, health concerns were paramount and restrictions were in place to limit large gatherings. This meant traditional in-store Black Friday shopping experiences were significantly altered. Retailers adapted by extending sales over a longer period to reduce crowding and shifting the focus to online deals. E-commerce sales skyrocketed as consumers preferred to shop from the safety of their homes. In 2021, while brick-and-mortar stores saw a return of shoppers, the landscape had evolved. Retailers continued the trend of spreading out deals throughout November, both in person and online, reducing the emphasis on a single day of sales. Supply chain disruptions and inflation concerns also affected Black Friday strategies, with some retailers warning of limited stock and encouraging early shopping. There was also a greater emphasis on supporting small businesses and sustainable purchasing practices. By 2022, Black Friday had a sense of new normalcy, blending pre-Big Bad shopping habits with the digital conveniences that consumers had grown accustomed to during the Big Bad. While in-person shopping saw an uptick compared to the previous 2 years, the convenience of online shopping remained a staple. Many retailers maintained a hybrid approach, offering deals both online and in stores, while also managing the ongoing challenges of supply chain issues and inflation.
To preface and to clarify, I'm a know-nothing nobody, so this is my not professional opinion. Based on past trends and shopping behaviors, Black Friday in the future is likely to continue its trajectory towards a more digital-centric event. The trend of extending Black Friday through November, or even starting in October, I remember there was a Black Friday in July event. Of course, it was Macy's. I think all of that is most likely to continue. It eases pressure on the supply chain and reduces in-store crowding, so, people aren't getting trampled.
I do think we will see more personalized deals, virtual reality shopping experiences, and advanced mobile shopping capabilities. Retailers might focus on creating experiences rather than just discounts. Exclusive events, early access to products, and loyalty rewards could become key components of Black Friday promotions. Augmented reality, artificial intelligence, and machine learning could become integral as well, aiding in everything from virtual try-ons to predictive analytics for personalized deals. Of course, there's a growing consumer awareness about sustainability and ethical consumption. Black Friday may evolve to include more eco-friendly products and practices, with consumers increasingly favoring brands that align with these values. And on the topic of values, the support for local and small businesses seen in recent years could lead to a version of Black Friday that emphasizes community-based retail and artisanal products on a bigger scale. I know there is a Small Business Saturday already, but I have a feeling it's going to eventually overtake the hype of Black Friday. The future of Black Friday will likely be omni-channel with a blend of online, mobile, and in-store experiences that are fully integrated, allowing consumers to switch between channels effortlessly. Additionally, in my opinion, it will reflect a more sophisticated, personalized, and elongated shopping event that spans multiple platforms.
And so far in the 20s, we seem to be having a more peaceful Black Friday experience. Do I think that will continue to be the case? No. I think humans go through ebbs and flows and always circle back at some point, some way, somehow, whether it be in a positive way or a negative way. I think we are just creatures of extremes for the most part. I don't know if that makes sense outside of my mind. I feel like we can never be gray. It's either like all this way, we're fucking trampling employees on Black Friday, or we're like, let's just not partake in that consumerist nonsense. Let's just enjoy our Thanksgiving dinner. I think for now, for this decade, we'll be more focused on family and small businesses and more principle-based conscious shopping, especially in this economy. I feel like we are cautious and we care about where and who we are giving our precious dollars to. But once the economy is on the upswing again, I'm sure we will eat each other alive on Black Friday for a discounted 8K virtual reality headset and buy one get one free AI Barbies. It's all just a part of the cyclical human experience.
And do I think Black Friday has always been crazy after everything I have learned? Yes, but not in the way I originally thought. Ignorantly, I focused on the crazy consumers rather than the businesses. Black Friday was and is an obvious opportunity for retailers to take advantage of. And businesses, being businesses, always have to up the ante and become more and more aggressive when it comes to making money, especially if what they're doing is working. Companies use all sorts of psychological tactics that poke us humans right in the crazy vein. That, combined with consumers' FOMO, overconsumption, and materialistic goals, was bound to create a behemoth of commercial frenzy.